Hello and welcome everyone to the second episode. Today I'm joined by five of my friends instead of the regular three. I myself, Kshitij, welcome you all to the second episode where we discuss everything and go back to our roots of discussing all the FPL assets in detail from essentials, differentials, GPs. I have with me, as always, Akshay and Anand, but today I'm also joined by three of my very close friends, Akshat, Amit, and Suryansh. All the three of them have been helping FPL Escapades behind the scenes for the last season, and this is the first time that we've tried to do something different with all of us coming together and talking about the beautiful game and the beautiful league that we all love. And it's been almost a month that we've not been graced and not pulled our hair out, courtesy Fantasy Premier League. So yeah, definitely we're here. How's it feel, boys? Akshay, how are you, man? How's everything been, and how ready are you to face the FPL challenge again?
Yeah, ready, but then there are so many complications this season given the current situation, COVID that we have right now, and there are more and more players getting tested positive, and that is something that I've my keen eye on because with players going out here and there, traveling with their national teams, so players might miss out on particular game weeks, and that is where you suffer FPL wise. So that is something that I have my eye on.
Just rightly put up by Akshay. The season will be really challenging because we really don't know how the COVID-19 would impact the season. But they are really buzzing because we all love Premier League and FPL is back. So really buzzing.
Amit, how does it feel, man? Welcome back. You're the only one we've had the opportunity of talking to in our previous episode in the last season. How does it feel to be back, and how are you getting up for the new season, dude?
I mean, last time I was here, I was looking for a Dhoni-esque finish in the last game week. I had my triple captain with Sterling on, and it didn't quite work out from me either. Or like Dhoni in the semi-final match. So this season I'm back with new optimism, but this season will be challenging because this transfer window is gonna run till October, which will mean you won't be able to settle down on a squad till mid October, I'm guessing. So that would be a new challenge going into the series. But as usual, I'm excited and raring to go.
It definitely. Really hard luck on that triple captainship not working, but definitely I hope that this season is better.
Yes, I took out KDB for Sterling and played the triple captain on Sterling.
Yeah, we've all done such blunders, man. FPL is all about such things as well. Akshat, welcome to the panel. And Akshat, for all of our listeners, has been really helping us out with all of the statistics that we've been able to show on all of our videos and all of our tweets. Welcome, dude. It's a pleasure inviting you here. And Akshat, I think you just started playing FPL last year, so this year would be a
Uh,
really roller coaster ride for you.
yes. I started playing FPL after the pandemic break, so this will be my first time playing from the start of the season. I'm really looking forward to it, and let's see how it pans out.
Yeah, definitely. We are also waiting for you to start pulling your hair out, right? Because we've been playing this game for a fairly long time, and yeah, definitely it's a pleasure to have you on board the FPL Escapades team, and also another person who we can, look at stressing two and a half, 3 hours before the game week deadline. So yeah, that's the name of the game. Suryansh,
Thank you.
again, welcome, another United fan, another United brother. Suryansh, for everybody, is the person who's handling our Instagram account and is really cool with all those creatives that you guys have been seeing on all of our social medias as well. He's the one who's revamped our logo as well. So we really thank him for all the hard work that he's put in behind the scenes. Suryansh, welcome, man. Welcome to FPL Escapades, first ever vlog. How are you feeling, and how do you feel about going into the current season?
First of all, thanks a ton, Kshitij. It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure working with you a lot. Um, Going forward to this season, the last season was pretty impressive on a personal front. So I would want to personally, build upon that season. But like everybody in this panel has already said that, a lot of challenges. The team won't be set till October. We don't know how the December fixtures will play out. So yeah, this season is a challenge, and let's see how it goes. So first time I'm doing so much analysis and my homework on this FPL season. Let's see how it goes out.
Yeah, hopefully this all pans out for the better and all the
Green
arrows be
arrows.
green.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So, to all of our listeners, welcome back. 38 game weeks of analysis, of banter, and talking about our mini leagues, wherein hopefully this season Akshay does not end up on top like last season. We have so much to look forward to. We have been really active on Twitter. Our family on Twitter is growing really fast, and now we are active on Instagram as well. Please do make sure to hit subscribe on this YouTube channel and follow us on all of our social media accounts as well. Boys, it's time to get into the analysis and banter and tinkering of the FPL teams, and starting off with, as always, essentials. So now we've made actually a change wherein we have all the essentials of forward, midfielder, defender, and goalkeeper at one screen. So it is easier for our listeners that we've had some feedback from to understand as to maybe the flow of the podcast does really go well. So we hope you do let us know the feedback on it. And so yeah, now we just get into it, and right on top of the bat, Timo Werner, the first name on the screen, is pretty amazing to me. Chelsea, a real shout out to them for doing amazing business. But yeah, Timo Werner is somebody who I really look forward to as an essential, and he is in my team. And definitely with his statistics of last season, wherein he scored 28 goals and 8 assists and had an XG of 20.71, which is zero point 0.2 more than Salah, tells a lot about how he's played in the Bundesliga. People might say that, oh, it is a new league, but I, for one, feel that a good player is a good player in any league, and definitely a set and forget asset for me in the forward lineup. He's been amazing. And so is, again, a similar player to Werner in the midfield is Mohamed Salah. Again, a lot has been said about him. He's been a great player. He's been returning points in FPL consistently. He was only behind Kevin De Bruyne in the last season, and given their ownership of 47.4 of Werner and 29.8 of Salah, do make them set and forget assets. Whereas, essentially, for my personal sake, when I look at the goalkeepers, I don't necessarily feel like going with either Allison or McCarthy. McCarthy might be a great punt given his first game week fixture against Crystal Palace, but Allison, for me myself, is a little, I wouldn't want to splurge 6 million on the goalkeeper, but that is for me. But definitely, he is definitely going to return some points. Suryansh, let's to kick off your analysis on the very first episode. What do you feel about the essentials, and what do you feel, or who do you feel rather, would be a set and forget asset in your team going forward?
Um, First of all, I'd like to add on the Timo Werner point that you just made. Thank God he's not gone to Liverpool. So, after saying that, my essential in this season's team, as of now, has to be Aubameyang. Firstly, because Aubameyang has been central to whatever Arsenal's been doing the last two seasons. You take out Aubameyang's presence and goals from that team, and they just don't stand anywhere. Plus, this season he has been listed as a midfielder. Midfielder, he gets extra points for clean sheets, and we know the drill. So scoring almost 44 goals in the last two seasons, having ownership is almost 44%. So that makes him a good asset to have in your team, especially going into the first game week, wherein we know a lot of big guns are out. So Aubameyang in this situation, I think is a very good choice to have. Especially he drifts between him and Lacazette switch positions. So I feel that not all the 90 minutes, the entire 90 minutes, he will not be playing in the midfield. He will have his chances to score. So for me, at 12, going into the first game week, Aubameyang is an essential that one needs to have in your FPL team.
So in terms of forward, for the first game week, this is technically Mourinho's second season, right? So, and the type of nature of football Mourinho plays is very player centric. You will have the scoring outlet from a particular player. It's not distributed throughout the team. Like Mourinho always had a central striker like Drogba, who used to get the job done for him. I remember back in the Chelsea days, as it was Ronaldo uh, in the Madrid outfit. So I think Kane and Mourinho is a match made in heaven, and I can't look past Kane even for the rest of the season, not just for the first game week. And uh, alongside Kane, even if you're looking to get that play that wild card early, why not go for Son? Go for a double punt, and just if you because you don't have to fit any City players or United players in for the first game week, so you might as well as go for the big hitters in the early rounds and get a good start, because it's very difficult to catch up once you are 20-30 points. It plays down with your psyche. And coming on to the defenders, ideally you would want to go for the premium options, but because this season the premium option will not be easy to attainable, so Robertson could be a really good choice, because coming on to the back end of the season he really picked up. I still remember his lung bursting run from the Chelsea game, and it's not an isolated thing that he does it on a regular basis, just that in between he lost some consistency, but I think it could be his season again. And in terms of keeping, it's never ideal to keep a keeper who is costing you more than five. So if you're feeling really lucky, you might as well as take a gamble on Kepa. Yeah, Kshitij.
Since we're talking about the Spurs assets here, I'd like to mention Doherty. He's been an FPL favorite for a lot of us managers. Going past seasons, he's saved a lot of us. But I'm not too sure how he will fit into the Jose Mourinho setup. That is, we need to see that in the upcoming games on what he does, how he's being played. He did very well under Nuno. Let's see how it goes. But just keeping in mind the name and the history of
No,
what
no.
Doherty's been providing to us of late.
Actually, Aurier used to be their right wing outlet for Mourinho. And in terms of delivery, Doherty has a better delivery than Aurier. Aurier is very inconsistent in terms of.
See us as us United fans. Everybody here is a United fan. We know what Jose loves to do. He will keep his defending first. He loves to defend, and he'll score that just one goal, and that one goal will be scored by Harry Kane. So let's see how it goes. But
True.
Yeah, definitely, and great points as well. I mean, going into any first game week of any season of FPL, you generally tend to have that you kind of there are new transfers and the team is shuffled a lot, so you never know how a player might actually play.
absolutely.
Doherty might end up, in the midfield also, because we've seen that he's very potent in giving assists and scoring as well. So yeah, definitely look forward to, and we'll have a lot of tinkering to do as well after the first game week. Uh, but yeah, with that, I mean, we've covered a lot, and definitely all the players mentioned on the screen right now do bring value to any FPL team. If you're not able to own all, definitely you'll not be able to own all. But even if you're able to own some, these are generally most of these set and forget kind of assets that we've spoken about. Akshay, now I think, would you want to start with the differentials with all of the players who are not really on the radar?
Yeah, so looking at the differentials, Southampton have really impressed after the break. So Shea Adams is a player that has caught my eye. Shea Adams getting the minutes is a positive sign. And at 6 million, I think he's someone you can look to maybe have in your forward line. So that's one pick that I'm looking at. And going forward to the midfielders, so Harvey Barnes, I was already a fan of Harvey Barnes last season. I found myself guilty of picking him in the double game week as well. So I don't know. I'm not ready to join the Barnes train again, but Leicester have a decent run of fixtures to start the Premier League season, and he's been impressive in the preseason from what I've heard. So Harvey Barnes is someone you can look at 7 million. And coming to defense, Reece James is someone I've targeted right now, but I'm not really sure if he's going to fit into Lampard's starting lineup from the first game itself. But with Emerson's future looking very doubtful right now, and Chilwell is out for the first couple of game weeks from what we've heard from the Athletic yesterday. So I think he gets the nod at either right back or left back because he's versatile there and he can play on both flanks. So Reece James is someone I'm looking at because at 5 million and covering that Chelsea defense, not for the clean sheet but for the assist. So he's someone I'm targeting. And coming to Sam Johnston, like we all have a reason to love Sam Johnson, right? He's one of our own. He's been groomed through the United Academy system, and when I saw the fact that he saved 6 out of the last 13 penalties, I mean that's massive. He's basically saving 1 out of every 2 penalties. So West Brom might concede penalties over the course of the season, and you never know, you might get lucky with one of those penalty saves. So Anand, what are you looking at when you look at differentials and looking to fill in those guys who are owned by less than 5%?
Yeah, so I'll just start with Rodak. So Rodak last season had the highest save percentage in the EFL Championship, which was 76.7%. At the same time, he had the third highest clean sheets in the EFL last season, which was equal with Sam Johnstone, despite playing 13 matches less than him. So Rodak is somebody that I would really look at. Apart from Rodak, I think I want to look at Nketiah because in the youth setup uh, for England, he's been doing really, really well. He scored 4 goals in the last 2 matches, including a hat trick against Kosovo in the ongoing international duties. So I think Nketiah is a really good pick because we know that Lacazette is kind of out of favor and Arteta favors Nketiah. So at 6 million, he could be a great shout. Lastly, I would want to talk about a little bit about Pereira. Now, Pereira is kind of the KDB of championship in the last season. He was the highest. He had the highest key passes per match, which was 2.8 in the championship last season. And he's a prolific player. He scored 8 goals and gave 17 assists. So I don't know, but will the Paye Bilic love story return to the Premier League this season? Let's see. Let's hope. Coming back to defense, I would like to talk about Davis. Now, Davis is from Spurs, and one of the person on Twitter community I really listen to is Ronaldinho. So Ronaldinho has a great eye for defenders. I don't know if he was a defender in his playing days or not, but he really has a good eye for defenders, and we all know about his Pereira threat. So Davis is somebody that he mentioned that post lockdown, and especially from game week 34 to 38, Mourinho played a very balanced backline where he stopped Aurier from going forward, and that enabled Davis to bomb forward as well. So he played a little balanced formation. So at 5.0 million, Davis could be a great shout if he's regular in that team.
Yeah, Mourinho's love affair with Aurier is something we have already seen in the All or Nothing documentary. So that's really good to see, and I really like the Ben Davis pick. So Akshat, what are you looking at? Any differentials in your mind?
Yeah, I have a few. I would like to start with forward Wilson, Callum Wilson. Post the pandemic break, he recorded 6 assists and 8 goals. And then I would like to talk about Ward-Prowse. He has played and he has started all 38 matches in the Premier League, and he is one of the few players who have clocked 90 minutes. He can be a consistent asset to be kept in the team according to the price as well.
Everyone loves Callum Wilson, and it's really great to see the Fraser Wilson combo back at Newcastle, because that combo was lethal when in Bournemouth, and FPL fans used to admire them to bits. So that's really good. And coming back to Saliba, yeah, for a 4.5 million defender, if he nails his place in Arteta's backline, and as we have seen post lockdown since Arteta's appointment, Arsenal have been really good defensively. They've not been leaking goals like we used to see earlier. I mean, when David Luiz looks like a good defender, so you really know that Arteta is doing something behind the scenes. So we move on to the cheapies who are priced at near around the 5 and 6 brackets.
So cheapies is a really interesting section for all of us because we've already spoken about differentials and spoken about essentials. Now this is a section where a lot of sometimes we fall short of money, and cheapies are the guys who can just come in, fill up. And if you are able to find a certain cheapie like Lon Lundstrom of last season, you are in for a ball and you're in for a party. So just starting my picks, I would like to talk about IU from Crystal Palace. So IU is set to receive a lot of chances this season as Zaha is in flying form, as seen in the friendly so far. And they have also signed Eze from QPR, who had a brilliant season last year in the championship for QPR. He scored 14 goals and gave 8 assists. So again, Crystal Palace has really good fixtures till game week 17 actually, barring Manchester United in game week 2 and Liverpool in game week 14. So I expect Ayu to be involved. Apart from Ayu, I want to go to Diangana again. This guy is from the promoted team, West Brom Albion, and I really like Bilic, but there's no bias in it because Bilic has been a top performing manager over the years. So Diangana has been ranked sixth in the 1920 championship, which was last season, for goals and assists per 90 minutes for players playing above 1800 minutes. Also, while he was the youngest of all of them. So he could really be a big differential this season for both West Brom and for all the FPL managers. Anyway, Kshitij, what do you think? What are your cheapies? What are your picks for cheapies?
I mean, when I look at all the players who are mentioned on the screen, I feel that half of my team that I currently have is filled up of cheapies. I have Mitrovic, I have Armstrong, I have Martinez and Ryan on as goalkeepers of mine. So I'll just start off with Martinez and Ryan. I feel that Martinez, still I think he might be able to start the first game week, but we really do not know where Leno and Martinez are in terms of Arteta. Martinez did an amazingly blinder of a job when he was substituted ahead of Leno when Leno was injured last season. But yeah, I feel that I might still go with Martinez. I might start with Martinez in game week 1. I do really love his form that he has been in. And yeah, and presently I sit with both Ryan and Martinez in my draft of my FPL team as well. But yeah, definitely someone who I really feel that who is a cheap ascension falls in both of these categories is somebody called Mitrovic, who scored a whopping 26 goals in EFL last season and was the top scorer as well. Fulham, some people are definitely saying might get relegated and they might not have it in them to stay up at the highest level of English football. But I feel even though they might have a chance to get relegated, cheap options in forward do not get better than Mitrovic as of now. Amit, uh, do you agree or do you have some other players that you want to talk about?
No, if you are going for differentials, cheapies, then Mitrovic and Ayu should be your number one choice. Another interesting pick could be a Rodrigo. I mean, he's a Spanish international. He's someone with space, with pace. He has a good left foot in him, and especially under a manager like the Leeds United manager, he could really come of age this season. Coming on to the midfield aspect of this, I'll go with Saint Maximilian because he reminds me of the Mane of the Southampton days. But he has this little bit of extra trickery in him. I really see a huge future in him. I see him get linked to a big club in the near future also, but this could be his breakout season. And at 5.5, if you are going for someone, you can either go for him or even another player who's not on the list could be Saka. Arsenal fans rave about every player they see, but Saka looks like to the real deal. Coming on to the defender aspect, Justin of Leicester is an interesting choice because although they have signed this new right back who's an attacking right back, the Belgium international, but Justin can also play at the right centre back position. As in the last match against United, he played at the right centre back. And coming on to the goalkeeper position, Martinez is an interesting pick because he's been linked to with a move with Aston Villa. Whether that materializes or not is a different issue. But if it indeed materializes, then he is a no-brainer at 4.5 because uh, the one of the major reason why Arsenal improved as a team defensively is because of the Martinez coming out from the back post and clearing chances after chances. Because I wouldn't trust Lewis with any defense. I mean, so yes, Martinez could be an interesting pick.
All right, great points, I guess. So let's move on to the next section, which is a player to look forward to in the coming season. Suryansh, would you like to add on that?
All of us have a little bit of a romanticism in us when it comes to picking a team of players. So here, when I come to select a player to look forward to, I select Christian Pulisic. I've seen the guy play the last 2 years, even for Dortmund and last season for Chelsea, and I easily believe that he can have a 200-point season this year, easily. The kind of gameplay that he has, his style of play suits the way Lampard wants Chelsea to go forward, and immense quality. And I was discussing this with Anand last week, that we need to find a player who matches Salah in terms of the points that he generates. And I think Pulisic is a very good shout this year. He can score 10 plus goals, have 15 assists easily this season. The only hindrance of him reaching that level is his fitness. We've seen him getting injured. He has 5, 6 good games, gets sidelined. And, this time Chelsea has a lot of competition in its squad. So if Pulisic can afford to get injured, and, I don't think he will have the same authority when he comes back in the team, because a lot of good signings have been made. But that said, if he manages to stay fit, I don't I don't see any reason why he cannot score 200 points this season.
I'm a huge fan of Pulisic as well because he was really impressive after the lockdown. And when you have so many assets for one position, fighting for one position, that drives the player further. So,
Absolutely.
so personally, I am looking out for Matthias Pereira from West Brom, like Anand mentioned about the love story between Bilic and Payet that we admired in the previous seasons of the Premier League. And Matthias Pereira is someone who has impressed me in preseason. I've been watching West Brom preseason games for a reason, and he's someone who I've noticed in games. He loves to take shots from range, so he's not shy of taking shots from anywhere around the box. And on an average, he averages a shot on target every game. So when a guy is shooting so many
So
chances
much.
in goal, you are in for a treat when it comes to FPL, because FPL loves those guys when it comes to shots. Because if a shot is blocked by the keeper and someone taps in the rebound, maybe an Austin or a Robson Kanu, he's the guy who gets the assist. So he gets lucky there. And yeah, what do you think about this, Akshat? I see Havertz there in your pick. So any reasons?
Uh, yeah, because last season I saw him playing for Bayer Leverkusen, and he had a goal plus assist per 90 minutes of 0.66.
Point about Havertz, his abilities in the air, because Ziyech with those deep balls, I think Havertz and Pulisic are the guys who are going to benefit with those deep balls, because they are the ones who are going to drift to the left or to the right, and with Werner being more central and more focused toward leading the line, I think Pulisic and Havertz are going to party. Yeah, that is good enough for the players to look forward to. And with this, we move to the next section, which is our final section, wherein we decide our captain picks and what is our target for the FPL season, as in what OR are you looking forward to when comes to the end of the season.
For the first game week, like I can see that out of the six, four of us have kept Oba. So my reason for keeping Aubameyang is very simple because he is consistent in scoring. And as previously mentioned, that Arsenal are designing the game around Aubameyang. And since this is my first season of playing FPL, so obviously I'm not as optimistic as Amit to aim for first rank, but I definitely aim to be inside 1,000. So Amit, what do you have to say about your captain pick and your OR rank?
First, coming on to the captaincy, I mean, I still have haunting memories of Fulham getting relegated and licking goals left, right, and center. And I don't know, that is probably the reason. And also, Aubameyang being in form, looking like the striker we expected him to be, and we have been seeing him for the last couple of years. And and coming on to the overall rank, I know because I recently during the lockdown I have recently picked up playing chess, and I'm a big fan of Magnus Carlsen, and I saw him on one of the streams. He even contemplating giving away one of his world championship for first rank in the EPL. So why not go for the first rank myself? I am a huge fan of Magnus Carlsen, and I just want to finish once the top of the food chain.
I am also joining the Oba bandwagon because it's not a secret anymore that he's a midfielder, and if he was a midfielder last season with the goals and assists and with some of the stats that people have worked out, he would have been higher than KDB with the total points. So Aubameyang is a nailed-on pick for me against Fulham, who have just been promoted to the Premier League, and they'll take time to get used to the atmosphere of the Premier League because it's not easy for players to come back after a break. And Arsenal have had a fair amount of games with the Community Shield and with the preparation before and after the game. So I think they are better prepared when it comes to Fulham, who his contract renewal news is also due this week. So that will give him an extra motivation to celebrate with a goal or an assist. And coming to the OR rank, so I managed to sneak into the top 1,000 last season, which is really good for me. But like to be realistic, this season top 10k, so that is what I'm targeting right now. And top 10k is the bracket that I set. If it's inside that, it could be even one or it could be even 1,000. So you never know. Let's see. So there's just a template that we have come up with from what we have seen and what prices the players have been priced at.
We can clearly see the dream team on our screen. Kshitij, would you like to go ahead? Please go on.
Very interesting to see that Aubameyang, Salah, Son, and Werner all made it, and Ferguson as well. These are some players who I have in my game week 1 draft team as of now. Might tweak it a little bit, not a lot, because I've actually had a really tough time trying to figure out the best 11 that I would want to field for going into game week 1 without getting into any prejudices or anything like that. And thankfully, United don't play the first game week, so. Maybe I might just bring in Martial for somebody so that I don't have to take a -4 going into subsequent game week 2 when I have to essentially get in a City asset as well. Aubameyang now is considered as a midfielder, and with all of the additional points that he'll get from scoring and clean sheets, definitely I'm considering him as a captain pick as well.
Funny how I had Mane as my captain, raving about Aubameyang this whole video. I had a tough choice between Werner and Vardy. I went in for Vardy because I wanted a Leicester cover. Vinagre is also a good shout. Doherty going to Spurs and Wolves not signing a replacement. Also, Johnny is injured, so Vinagre will get minutes. And everybody, I'm assuming, who picks fullbacks of lesser teams don't pick them for not for clean sheets, but for attacking returns. So I guess Vinagre can, help managers do that.
But Wolves have been rumored to be chasing Alex Telles from Porto. So I do plan to have either one of the United or City assets. As per my current draft, I have one of both. So I'm looking at Tony Marshall for 9 million at that price. I think he's nailed on in my team. And in the second game week, you don't want to make panic transfers because what happens is when you don't have City and United assets in your game week 1 team, you've just pre-planned it already that going into game week 2 you need to get United and City assets. So in your head you have already planned that Salah is going out and Bruno is coming in. So with that decision out of the way, I can easily plan to invest in maybe a wrong choice that I've made somewhere else. So Marshall and Foden are set for me right now as City and United assets.
Definitely really good points coming in from all of the new and old panelists, and definitely this has been missing from personally my life for a very long time now. The last talk chat that we had was before game week 38 plus. Thankfully, the game weeks don't have a plus in front of them anymore. Things are returning to normal slowly and steadily. Hopefully, we see some fans back in the stadium, and more importantly, September 12th, 3:30. Yeah, another point that I was willing to put forward is now this year also, like we've talked about how FPL will be a changed game. The best and the most important change is the deadline extension of 1.5 hours. No more leaked teams, no more last minute transfers. We would actually have to predict who's going to play, who's going to make it to the playing 11. And also, if somebody gets injured while warm up, that will also be something to look forward to, because there is absolutely nothing that you'll be able to do, even if the news comes in, say, 15 minutes before the hour mark or when the team sheets are submitted in. So definitely a great season ahead in front of us. Hopefully, this COVID-19 pandemic goes away slowly and we have full stadiums, and the virtual noise of the fans is actually filled in again with the chants. And also for all of our listeners and supporters of FPL Escapades and all the Twitter family and Instagram family that we've been amassing throughout the last season and going forward as well. FPL Escapades has come up with our very own FPL mini league wherein it is free entry. All you have to do is fill up one Google form so that we are able to get in touch with you. The winner gets a jersey of their choice, free of cost. Yeah, this is something that all of us have thought about for giving back to our community since we've received so much love and support ever since we started it, doing this last year and last season as well. So yeah, it's been a pleasure, boys. I'm sure that we'll connect again sometime soon before game week 2 to discuss more teams, more essentials, more differentials, and more cheapies. Uh, I hope that everyone who's listening or watching this video does join us and gets into in all the banter and fun on FPL Escapades Mini League. You can please follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Subscribe to our channel. Thank you for all of your support and love. It's been a pleasure, boys. I hope you enjoy this and have a good one.